Good morning, everybody. How is uh how is the crew doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. That's enthusiastic.
Yeah,
It's early, huh? I can't imagine being on the West Coast and dropping into this call because what is it? Five
Five
is it
thirty.
5:30?
5:30.
5:30. Wow.
I'm trying to get my
I'm in
son
the
interested, so he's on the
What's
west.
that?
trying to what?
Is
He's
he?
in
He
L
lives out. He lives out there, doesn't he? Somewhere in the West
LA,
Coast.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the house, the background, or is it light?
Okay. Well, I'm vacation mode here in Southwest Missouri, and Trent has moved over to Denver now on his Western tour. So we'll continue on in the morning edge from different locations. So let's take a look here. Today, really nothing explosive happened that I know of as far as, the Iran-Israel ceasefire seems to be holding. And the news, I guess, today is, speculation on Powell's replacement, that he's going to be named by September or something. So it'll be interesting how Powell runs out the rest of his term, knowing that he's not going to be there. We'll see how that goes. Today we have the third estimate for Q1 for the GDP coming out. That ought to be interesting. And revised corporate profit report. Nike, Paychex, I think Micron came out with their earnings. Carnival Cruises and FedEx are coming out with their earnings today. So, here we are at the end of July or June 26th, end of the quarter. We're going to see some window dressing, I'm sure, at the end of the quarter here, at the end of the month. So it could be volatile, just as institutions move and funds move their money around them to make their book look a little better than it did. Looks like we're up a little bit today. You got Dow, S&P, NASDAQ futures, 10 years down a tad bit. Oil's just up just a little bit. It says up here, oops, don't want to do that. Biggest stocks, Micron, Kratos, McCormick, biggest stocks moving in the pre-market. So we'll be watching those. Okay, let's go on to
Hey,
this.
Mark,
Yeah,
what does the durable goods was up at 8:30? What does that mean? Forecast was 5.2, came in at 16.4.
wow.
So I don't know how.
I'd have to go look at that. I don't follow that one as much as possible. I'd have to go look into it and see. Maybe I can do that and write something up, throw it on the on the Discord. So anyone
See what
else
I can
know?
find.
Anyone else know? Do you know, Trent?
I'm digging into it right now, so give me a minute.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull something up here.
In fact, previous was negative 6.6 and it's up to 16.4. So that's a huge move, whatever it means.
Seems it would be a good thing. Durable goods. But
Yeah, I would think so.
try to look it up, and we'll go on with charts, and when he gets it, we'll roll into it.
Who's Bob?
S&P again, sideways up a little bit. Now we've kind of moved up to the upper Bollinger. We've done this before. Okay, we're up above the 200 again. We gapped up here and sideways. We're starting to see a little oscillator move. You see the stochastic kind of moving up. Again, you have Nvidia and some of those stocks did really well yesterday, and those are going to influence these indexes. And that's why we look at these every day, the indexes and then the Mag 7, because they can influence the market so much. Not so much the Dow. The Dow is just 30 stocks. But again, the Dow has come up, finally got above, the 200, and has stayed up above Bollinger Bands. Still kind of, narrow Bollinger Bands, moving up just a little bit. You look at stochastics coming up a tad bit. Let me pull this up so we can look at MACD better. And MACD sitting still a little below hasn't really crossed over yet, but it looks like it will because of the because of the stochastic going up too. Of course, the Qs, with NVIDIA going up, NVIDIA is a big driver, the top stocks market cap wise in the Qs. So you see we come up right up the upper Bollinger, and we're going to open a little bit higher than that too. So kind of sideways to a little bit up. Again, the MACD has not crossed as of yet on the Qs. So, watch this today and see what happens. Gold. If this guy will come up.
Actually getting rain.
Gold is actually down as you would expect as markets go up, but we're still hanging on to the support level of the 50, but you have resistance right above it. And again, gold's been kind of sporadic, but sideways also. One of the things we haven't looked at in a while is the dollar. Okay, the dollar, trending still down, the downward motion. It kind of dropped down again after they were talking about Powell being replaced. So right along support, we've seen this a lot on a lot of stocks. We're seeing it on the dollar too. When we get into Bitcoin, had a pretty good day yesterday. Again, you can see popped up. We're in this third level of support and resistance. Bollingers are starting to roll up a little bit. We're also seeing the oscillators roll up. Come yesterday, we closed about 108. Today we're at 107.2. So again, back got above the 200, or I mean the 50, back above the 9. It's been above the 200. So again, we still need to break out above the 112, and we're looking at 115 to 120 on the upside. If it can break out, we are seeing a little bit of a spread on the Bollinger Band, so we'll keep that in mind. This is the one that kind of drove the market from my point of view. You had a nice pop on NVIDIA today. We had this kind of upward trend, tightening of the Bollingers, and now you see the Bollingers are starting to separate a little. We also see the oscillators too. We're going to open up a little bit today, and you have some sell orders just right above that. So these stocks, because they're so large in the market cap, 35%, and the S&P at about 50%, the NASDAQ, the Mag 7s, when they pop, and especially NVIDIA, you're going to see the market pop, and you'll see some chasing going on there. Not all of them have done that, but NVIDIA for sure yesterday. Like Meta's just kind of sideways. It's up above the 9, but right along resistance. You got Bollinger Bands narrowing, but you see where it's going to open right next to resistance again. And the oscillators are kind of just flat. Meta and Google had a pretty good day yesterday, popped up, hit resistance. Looks like we're going to open just a little bit above that today, right above the 200 maybe. So maybe Google can get above the 200 and have a little bit of a run, but it's had trouble when it has gotten above it, coming back down and then underneath it. But again, we'll see how Google does. And it's weird, they're not like all going together like they used to, in the Mag 7s. We're seeing them kind of split up a little bit. Microsoft, what a nice run, since earnings popped up above the 200. Again, that's, those Paul Tudor Jones things, you get in above the 200, and it's just been really nice run up. Looks like we're going to open up again, right on the Bollinger Bands. And then you got some sells right above that. So, if you were in Microsoft, that is a nice, easy, steady run on Microsoft. And that also helps the Qs. That also helps the S&P. Tesla. I haven't looked at Tesla. Tesla looks like it still trying to play around this resistance level, up and down around resistance. It did drop down, hit right on the 9 support, which we've seen a lot. Okay. And then you've got, it's going to open, looks like right on the 9 again today. Seen a little bit of dipping. You're looking at the RSI still above 50, but kind of moving down. And then you have a negative MACD too, still on Tesla. So again, kind of sideways. Apple. It's kind of been in this pattern. We're going to open right about above the 9 again, above the 20. Having trouble getting past this 50, just kind of really squeezed in there. Of course, look at your Bollinger Bands starting to look like it wants to compete with the Bollinger Bands on United Healthcare now, but yeah, Apple's just been stuck, kind of like the United Healthcare. We'll look at that in a second. Amazon, again, kind of going up between sell orders and back down to resistance. Just following that line right along. Looks like we're going to open about where we, a little bit above where we closed. Again, look at the oscillators, just negative on the MACD. And then Palantir. Palantir, kind of slow, steady rise up, and hitting resistance. And it's going to open right about, a little bit above where it closed and right along the upper Bollinger. You have some sell orders. You're right along resistance. The oscillators are just kind of flattish sideways. Again, I thought this would pop a little more than it did. Like I say every day, but it hasn't. If we go over to the momentum stocks we have, CRWV, this one is always, that's not it, sorry. Which one is CoreWeave? CRWV, what's CoreWeave's symbol?
CRWV.
CRWV. CRWV. Oops. CRWV. There we go. Yeah, CoreWeave, we've done this up, sideways up, sideways up. It hits resistance and then it pops again. This time we kind of went below the 9. We've done this before, but we've kind of closed on the upside. This candle was down yesterday. And what I see is down here, you watch these oscillators, the MACD crossed over, you got a crossover on the stochastic, and you're a little bit of a dip down on the RSI, but still sideways. We've come down. What looks like we're going to open right about where we closed, below the 9. So again, we've seen it sideways and pop back up. But again, the oscillators are giving us some negative symbols in there. So if you're in CoreWeave, just be careful. The other ones that we had on the momentum lift, ASTS, we're seeing some resistance pop in up here after 2 days. Again, nice run up, but resistance, and then sell orders right above that. You can see this a lot in these momentum stocks. TSSI also has come up, resistance has come on. We've hit sell orders 2 days ago, and then we've closed below the resistance level. We're still above the 9. Okay, this could still roll. The oscillators aren't turned over like we say in CoreWeave. But just be careful, when these come on, it is a sign that things could be slowing down just a little bit. Mr. Cooper, which was kind of a surprise, came up and it hit resistance and then went up to the sell orders and back down. You start to see a little bit of a bend over on the 9, seeing a little bit of a roll on the MACD. So those are symbols and signs that, things might be slowing down on some of these momentum stocks. Robinhood still rolling, has come up above the Bollinger Band. Watch out for resistance right above that, where the sell orders are, but no level of resistance has come on. And your oscillators are tick up just a little bit flat on Robinhood. Under the 200, Weyerhaeuser, or Whirlpool, Whirlpool has come up and it's kind of doing this sideways. It's hit resistance on the sell order resistance level. We've been in this a while. Taking profit is never a bad thing to do when you've had this much of a gain, especially on a stock like Whirlpool. Okay, you could take half off, take all off. You could leave it on, and set some sells right here where support is on the 9, or keep trying to play it up a little bit. But still looking good. A little bit of a roll on the MACD, but nothing too bad. This one's been on a long time. MU, this had earnings today. I think earnings were pretty good. So we might
They're
see
really
that.
good.
Okay. And that might be the
Yeah,
catalyst to get this to pop. Go ahead, Trent. What'd you have?
yeah, their forecast for their fourth quarter was very positive when it came to revenue and all that. So I think that's why you're seeing a pop. But I'll show you something interesting in relation to what Mike talked about yesterday
Okay.
here in a minute.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
EL. It was outside the Bollinger Band. You can expect it to pull back in. We're right here, EL. you know, it's not all that exciting, but we're still above the 200. We had a crossover of the 9. So you're still in the money. Always have your stops, just to make sure you keep your money. Don't lose it. SYF, these are on the watch list. Okay. This one actually, if you're in this, resistance came on, we were on the upper Bollinger, might be something you want to take off. We put it on the list here. Might want to take some off the table a little bit just because of that resistance there. And AMD is on the watch list. AMD just continues to climb the Bollinger. It's 2 days outside of it. Again, got some resistance and sell orders right above it. So you got a little ways up. Good pull back in, but it has nice momentum on AMD. We put on the list right after we got above the 200. This is another one, if you want to play the Paul Tudor Jones, here's your 200 and we got above it and you got some momentum. So, for a longer term investor, this may be your trigger, where you want to try to hop in there and see how it runs, and you can go back and see how it works against the 200. You can see, geez, look at it. I mean, even we went back and looked at this before. We're all the way back. This is where it starts. This is in 2023. You might have gotten out probably here a little bit on the Paul Tudor Jones, pop back in, still 2023 in October, and you wouldn't have gotten out until July of 2024. So it has a history of running pretty good above the 200 once it gets above it. You can see we've been down for quite a while in AMD. So again, interesting. All right, what else we got? The other one that we've mentioned last week that I watched, just because it's one of the big banks, and is JP Morgan has really been kind of on a nice little roll, and it's really kind of taken up above the Bollinger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I expect that to pull back in now 5 days over the Bollinger. Got sell orders up here, but no resistance. So, and then I like this MACD. It's looking pretty good. So JP Morgan's kind of taken off. This is just one of those companies like IBM you kind of forget about, but they're kind of the leader in what they do. But again, it got above the 200 here. If you were Paul Tudor Jones theory kind of guy, you'd still be in. And this would have been a nice run. You would have gotten in, at 235.59, and we're sitting at 284.06 with only one trade, since April of 2025. So interesting. And then Berkshire. So Berkshire gave us an opportunity yesterday, and we always talk about here's resistance at the 20, and it kind of wedged up and tried to get us gapped up and tried to get us in. But if you had waited for a sale, I was like looking at where it opened the day before, maybe put in a buy order or put in a buy order, right at or around support. You could have got a pretty good price. We're still above the 200, and we still have some good oscillators. So, one candle down doesn't break you above the 200. We're still above it, but it gave you a pretty good price if you wanted to enter. We'll see what happens today. It looks like it's going to open about where it closed, just maybe a little tick higher. So again, we'll watch Berkshire, UNH, United Health, Core United Health. Those Bollingers get closer and closer and closer. Something's going to have to give on this one. It just hasn't yet. But again, we're still maintaining that intermediate support level. CRDO we talked about yesterday, real quick, has come up. It went past resistance, almost to sell order resistance, but came back down and closed right at resistance. So if you're in this one, just be aware that resistance has come on and follow your trading plan. What else do we have? FDS, FactSet. FactSet, we were watching this one kind of like United Health. It was rolling right along support. It popped up above support. It's just having trouble getting past the 50 as resistance, and then your Bollinger Bands are coming down, but it's under the 200. But these are the kind of things we look for. I don't expect these pops like this all the time. More of a controlled run up. So again, it's having trouble at the 50, and we see that 50 is a big line of resistance. And then we talked a little bit yesterday. Someone brought up NU, and NU had that nice pop. And then yesterday, before market, we talked about this pop, this big candle. And we went back and we looked at how we had resistance before on these kind of runs. It's starting to look like the same thing. We kind of popped up, kind of wicked up, tried to get above. The bears beat them right back down. So you do have resistance right there. And we'll get into some other charts. I want to get over to Trent real quick, and whatever you guys want, put them down in the chat. We'll get to them. Go ahead, Trent.
All right, so let's hit upon a couple things here. Give me a second, clean this up. Volatility, always a good measure of what's going to happen. We're seeing less volatility in the market. It looks like we're going to open up around 1670, which puts us in the investable bucket, which is what we want. And it means also that market makers are not hedging out their positions like they were prior to Friday of last week. And so that allows more of us, the retail investor, the institutional investor, to be more in control of where markets are going. And we're seeing that. We're seeing NVIDIA go higher. We're seeing a lot of the tell sheet 12 go higher. And it allows more of that floating upward of markets overall. SPY or the S&P 500 still has a resistance level around $610 or $6,100 on the full SPX. And you can see that's where we've, in the past, that's where the resistance has been. And so what I'm looking for is that day-to-day comparison of lower lows and lower highs or higher highs and higher lows. And are we going to continue to move higher with higher lows and higher highs, or are we going to start to hit resistance at this area? A breakout on SPY of around $615 would be, we would at that point get into some clean air and we could get some move to higher, all-time highs even further. And we're seeing that in NVIDIA as well. But cautious when I look at the 12 tell sheet 12, which is 12 of Kerry's fundamental analyze stocks that he uses on his tell sheet. I've then gone through and pulled out 12 that show good qualitative signs and then applied a quantitative model to it. So there's a handful that are in more of a running into resistance. First off is AEHR. Let me get that up. It's showing today lower lows and lower highs in comparison to yesterday in projections. And so it's basically in this channel and right in this area. So a breakout above, 1328 or 1330 would give it some clean air to move up towards another resistance level, which was a gap back here that hasn't been filled yet. So that opportunity up around to 1560 or so could be an opportunity. It's just this could be seen as an accumulation phase here. There's support in this $11 range. The RSI is still strong, so it's something to take consider, but also understand there's a accumulation, I believe, phase that's going on with AEHR. The second one is Meta, same thing. It's projected to have lower lows and lower highs today. It's in a area of resistance potentially, where we've seen that back into early February, where it was resistance, it gave up and went down to April lows. It's come back into that area. And this area, if you look at this big block here, that can be seen as accumulation. And so a catalyst that would break this out and push this through that, say, 700 and say 25 to 730 mark, something has to happen to spur this on. It could be as easy as, money flow back into 401k plans because this is part of the Mag 7 and because most people who invest in their 401k buy large cap growth. That could be a partial catalyst. Power Solutions Inc. or PSIX also showing lower lows and lower highs today. And what I'm looking at here is a possible pullback towards the trade trend line. As we've seen in the past, it's just followed this since its April lows. and has moved up with it. So this move, this percentage move away from the trade trend line, in my opinion, warrants a potential pullback back towards it around 50, say $53, and then probably a move higher. So we've seen in the past a lot of buyers in this area between 44 and $50 or so. And so that, in my opinion, is the development of support. But this move higher away from diverging away from the trade trend line most likely is going to show some level of pullback and pull back towards that support so they can build higher. So think of it as an institutional trader or algorithm. You get these major moves, you buy, you get a major move higher. Eventually, it's going to pull back towards support, and I believe that's what we're going to see there. Micron's interesting because today my projections are it has a higher high, but it has a lower low. So it's sort of a spreading out. It's like if you think of it Bollinger Bands, they're going like this. Um, Micron was interesting yesterday because Mike hit upon yesterday the 5 minute chart. And if I can bring this up, this is the closing bell here. This is earnings announcement. And then this decline all the way back down to where it ended up, where it is today at what is that? Was it 128.50? So as Mike was pointing out, looking at that 5 minute chart, is somebody knows something here. The probability of Micron having good earnings, somebody figured this out. And when they reported earnings and they were good, it exploded higher, and that's when the institutions started exiting and taking profits. And you can see that happen. This, as a retail investor, would give you enormous hope. And this is where a lot of people get sucked in. And today we're back down. So it closed out yesterday at 127.49, and right now we're at 128.41. My question is, with the projections of a lower low and lower high today on the risk range, will we see Micron pull back lower towards the lower side of things and suck the retail investor into this and institutions take him down? Or have we seen the rise in Micron for the time being and possibly a sideways movement? Because you look at this move, I look at this move and I go, okay, this is a major move away from the trade trend line. We're getting a pop here. We'll open up at 128.40. Is there a good chance we'll pull back towards this 120 mark? And that's where you'll start seeing accumulation happen again, and then a move higher as we go into the second or third quarter of this year. So be cautious of this. They had great earnings, they had good guidance, but a lot of money has been made since the 95 or so mark, since the 200-day moving average, really. And so a lot of that money has to be, profits will be taken. So be aware of that before going into Micron or something like that. Um, Overall, volatility, the options market is giving indications that we're going to continue to see this floating higher, but be aware, headlines can take you out, a tweet can take you out. There's still potential for volatility going forward. But I think as we get into the end of this quarter, you're going to see a lot of window dressing the remainder of this week and into next week. And then after we get past July 2nd, 3 month volatility rolls off, so it's going to normalize a lot. And then we also have the tariff negotiations with China. I think that's the 9th of July that rolls off. So volatility could easily come back into the market, and that's all headline driven. Other thing, we talked about durable goods. What is it? So durable goods, it measures the performance of U.S. manufacturing sector by tracking new orders, shipments, and inventories of durable goods. Products designed to last 3 years or more, such as appliances, vehicles, aircrafts, machinery, and electronics. New orders reflect demand for durable goods. It tracks the shipment and all. So I was reading through this and I'm like, okay, I think David said that number was 16 something. So that percent was
16.4% over month.
so enormous jump, right? If you go back to that whole push to get everything you got into the country prior to the tariffs going in on China, everybody loaded up on their orders, got it in, and then we had that lull. I think you said there was a negative 6.3% or something the prior month, and now we have this jump. And a lot of that number could be easily attributed to that initial push to bring goods and services, long-term goods into the country prior to Liberation Day. And then we went through Liberation Day and that whole April downturn, not a lot happened. So you had a negative number. And then we get past the hoorah of tariffs and everything because that's fallen out of the headlines. And now everybody's getting back to normal. So you're seeing a normalization of that number. What I suspect is in the next, if you go a year out, though, you could throw that number out, this the fall and the negative, and you throw that out, and it'll give you a better average. But yeah, I
You gotta
think
remember
that's
that
just
these are new orders for manufactured goods in the US, so not overseas. So I think it has to do with the tariffs, but it was like, crap, we can't get anything from overseas. Can we order it in the US? And maybe Bob has some ideas on that too.
like I don't think he's on today.
It doesn't look like it. So
Yeah,
okay, well thanks. We have a few charts and then discussion. So are you okay? Are you all done, Trent?
yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We'll go look at a chart here. Um, and CURI is what they want to look at. CURI. Oops. I. Curie. Oh, and this is we looked at this yesterday. This is I think Patrick, you might have brought this one up. If I'm incorrect, I'm sorry, but yeah, Curie, popped up a little bit. This is the one we talked about. Watch the volume down here because the volume is a little bit on the low side. But again, you've got sell orders right above that. We've hit it twice in 2 days, and you're right on the support level, the 20. Lower volume. Just be careful on Curie. Again, I don't know what they do. We haven't had a positive crossover yet on the MACD. However, we have on the stochastic, which is a probability of an indicator. You'll see that on the MACD. But again, 2 days ago, we were up. Today yesterday we tried to get up past sell orders, and when we closed down more towards the support level. So again, I like it. It's above the 9. It's above the 200. It's got low volume, and you're between a pretty tight range of support and resistance right now on Curie. Someone had a question on this line here, which is resistance, and then the support line down here, and where do you set that up? You go up here to technical analysis, okay, and you hit support and resistance, and then you can hit this stop line, and that'll put those stops in, like right here where it goes into the program and it sees where people have put their stops, and it will give that information to you. So hit those two buttons, and that'll help you out. The other line that I put in, I just go in the
Hey,
morning.
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, I was the one that asked that question, but I'm trying to figure out how you put in where the sell orders are.
It's right.
Like
It's right. Yeah, it's right. Oh, hold on. Cancel. It's this one right here, these stops. If I take that out,
Oh, okay.
see how it disappeared? Now it's going to go back on right here. This line
Oh,
right here.
okay. All right.
Yeah. And
All
then
right.
once you get in there, you can modify it. You can go into modify, you just click on it. And if the market's going down, you can move it to below. I always kind of keep it tight, but if you want to see where the secondary and third, you just go medium, you can see it moved up. So you have a level of here, and then you got another level up here just underneath resistance, and you can go really loose, and you can see there's a level above resistance. So it gives you 3 levels. I always keep it kind of tight just because when you're swing trading, you're doing more short term, and so you want to know where those are.
Okay.
That
All
help
right, thank
out?
you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, anything else out there while I got a chart up? Patrick, got anything? I don't see Patrick. There's
Yeah,
Patrick.
I found a stock called NYAX. It's a fintech company from Israel. It's involved in self-service stores, and they're doing phenomenally well.
Yeah, again, look, see this volume right here? Watch this when I go over it. It's got like no volume whatsoever. So your bids, your asks, your spreads are going to be a long way apart. Doesn't mean you can't get in and invest in it if you want. You're above the 200. Let's go back a little bit.
Its EPS went up by 1,400% in the last 12 months.
Just remember it. I mean, it's a lowly traded stock. The volume is pretty low. So keep that in mind. You're up against resistance here. And you see that, you know, when you have a stock that trades thinly, you do see a lot of this kind of gappiness in there between your candlesticks, like here, here, and that's and up here. And that's because you're trading. Yesterday we traded 28,000. Day before 26,000, 50,000. So it's really low volume. So just be careful on those.
Yeah. I mentioned yesterday about Goldman Sachs's equivalent of the Mag 7 in China, prominent 10. I've put together the 10 stocks, and their projected earnings over the next 12 months is between 12 and 20% collectively. Okay. But I'm doing an individual assessment, and I'll have more information for you very soon.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that, Patrick. I did put the durables report over in the chat if you want to go read it, you know, if you're so inclined. Anything else? That's it, Patrick. No dancing pole girl surveys or anything.
No, I'm just watching tennis. I'm looking forward to Wimbledon next week. I'll be watching that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, we got anything else? You guys,
Bill's got a question.
Bill, there you go, Bill.
Yesterday I talked about SAFX. It's now at $2.27, up 56 cents yesterday. However, at one time it was up over $1.
Okay.
That's that new one.
Yeah, let me hold on here. SAFX.
SAFX.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get that pulled up here. SAFX. Is this it here? XCF
Yep.
Global?
That's it.
Well, it's certainly got some volume on the trades. It's really kind of moving sideways, but you know, with a small amount of, I mean, it's under $3. I don't know what they do. The MACD looks pretty bad to me from a trade point of view. It's under the 9. It's right along support, so you know you might get a pop. If we can get above the 9, you might be able to get it up to, you know, we're looking at resistance over here at 1055, but you know it's had quite a drop down at this point. But you did good on it yesterday, huh?
All I was talking about was one day.
Yeah. Yep. You got a nice, you know, even on a small little stock, it doesn't look like much, but when you're talking, you know, pennies, it's a lot. So hopefully you did well on that.
I'll give you some more reports later on.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill. We talked a little bit, you know, we were looking at some, well, we got it. Pepsi, again, it's kind of like what we were looking at United Health, just kind of sideways. But this is one of those, you know, big stocks. They do more than just Pepsi. They have snack foods and stuff. And, you know, it's just one of those you keep on your list and you watch. Got a lot of a lot of moving averages coming down. And, you know, at some point, you know, we keep hitting support. and we're starting to see the Bollingers a little bit spread, but the reason we're seeing it spread is because these candles are moving on the downside to the downward Bollinger. So it may pop through support, but right now it hasn't on Pepsi. We'll keep watching it for the future. Something else that's kind of popped is this stable coin. Coinbase took off, you know, and you know, they're a brokerage company basically for crypto. Okay, you can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and whatever you want. Coinbase, and with this has really kind of taken off a little bit, and then CRCL, that was Circle, and this is a stable coin. Let me get slow. You can see we've had now 2 days of down, so this is fairly new. It had a really good run up, and then you have this nice wick on top. It got ran up, and then the bears beat it back down, and maybe you're seeing a lot, finally some profit taking, and some of that that enthusiasm is waning, and people are saying, okay, let's come back down to earth and take some of that off. So be careful chasing some of these new enthusiastic stocks. They're fun when they go up, but they're not so much fun when they go down, for sure. What else you guys got? Anything?
I have
Robert,
something. Oh, go ahead.
Robert asked about his question in the chat was, could you give your opinion on sell to open cash secured puts on Berkshire and United Healthcare? This is a famous process or a process that Warren Buffett has used historically, is by selling puts against his cash position to buy stock. So if you went out and wanted to buy Berkshire at say the 200-day moving average, you would sell a put contract backed up by the cash, because when you sell a put contract, you're obligating to have somebody put that stock to you. And so what it does is you sell that put contract, you get a premium for that, so that lowers your overall cost basis if that stock is then eventually put to you. Berkshire is at that 200-day moving average point. That would be a way to enter in to Berkshire. United Healthcare, I would say, is more on a more on a questionable side, because we don't know exactly what is happening there. But as the market has pointed out in the past, insurance companies always make their money at the end of the day, one way or another. So that could be a way to go ahead and buy those two stocks and collect a premium to lower your cost basis in them. So it's a process that I believe Warren Buffett uses a lot and has historically done it, and it's a good way to lower your cost basis in a stock. So, and if it doesn't execute, you get a premium for it, and the option expires worthless, but you collect money for doing so. So it could be a way to do it.
Good
Yeah,
explanation. Thanks, Trent.
yeah.
Somebody had IBIT. IBIT is the BlackRock Coinbase or Bitcoin ETF trust. Okay, it runs with the price of Bitcoin, and I full disclosure, I got into this when it first came out, and way back when, and I've never sold it. Okay, again, it's over the 200. We did kind of test the 200 back in this area here. Got to move my picture over. And then ever since that, we've been on a run up, but into resistance. And, we've seen Bitcoin kind of go between those three zones, and it follows IBITs. But this is a way that you can play Bitcoin without having to actually buy Bitcoin. You play it through BlackRock here. And again, it's kind of been all over here, but this is one of the most successful funds that in the history of ETFs, and in the history of BlackRock. It exceeded past their gold ETF faster than any other ETF. But again, it's really related into Bitcoin. It's a way to get into Bitcoin if you want to. You can use these charts and swing trade, or you can invest, above the 200 like we always do. But the advantage of it is you don't actually own the Bitcoin per se. You buy into this ETF. They go out and buy Bitcoin. They store it for you. I think mostly at Coinbase, and then when you sell it, they just liquidate and they give you your money back. So at the moment you can't take it off the exchange, like when you sell it and take your Bitcoin out because you don't really own it. There is some legislation potentially that's going to go through, and in overseas, I know them on some of these ETFs. If you sell, you can actually transfer your Bitcoin out into your own personal wallet or other account. So, but that's not the case on IBIT at this moment. But again, I like it. It's an easier way to play it. You don't have to worry about custody and storing your Bitcoin. But then again, a lot of people are into Bitcoin, want to store their Bitcoin and have custody of it as a part of how they believe the financial system is going to go forward. So hopefully that explains that a little bit. What else we got? Nothing.
I got something to share real quick if I can. If
Go
not,
ahead.
can I share my screen? I'll try. Ooh, can I? This is something I've been doing. Am I sharing?
Yep.
I have too many stocks to manage now, but that's okay. I've been lower cost. This is what I'm it's a bit different, but I've seen you do this before where you look for the consolidation
Yep.
and then you see the pop. And at this pop right here, see the volume.
Yep.
Goes up, consolidation, you see the pop of volume. Goes up, consolidation, and then you get another pop, consolidation, and another pop.
Yeah.
And I have 40 stocks that I'm trading that are just like this that have been treating me pretty good. So
Yeah.
it's just another whole approach that I've been using. You use these oscillators and so forth. You got to make sure you're above the 200 and all these other oscillators. But I do like this because the volume that you mentioned, we talked about it, I think it was yesterday, the day before, how important it is when you see the pop in volume and you see that positive trend. I like that.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
2 cents.
It-
2 cents.
Yeah, no,
Paul,
and
I
we've
think
seen that. We've seen that with CoreWeave and GEV, other stocks that we've talked about. You see it go up, and what I like to see is it kind of goes between the upper Bollinger down to where support is, and then you see that pop or
Yeah,
not. But when you see that pop, then it goes into more consolidation. So yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely a strong pattern that we see, and it's well worth seeing.
I've been doing it with Reddit. I do it with, even if you look at Nvidia, you see the volume spike. And if you see price action and out of consolidation and volume spike, and also drawing these boxes, I've seen you do that before, Mark, where you draw these
Yeah,
consolidation boxes.
yeah,
It shows the nice levels of uptrends or downtrends.
yeah. It helps you. It helps you to see that the limits
Yeah,
of the
so
up
I
and
like
down. Yeah, yeah. Good point.
that.
Good
That's
point.
all.
Paul, I think you bring up a very good point there is that institutions buy, they'll build a position in a stock like you're showing here with these boxes, and then market other institutions grab onto it and they push it higher, and then they accumulate and push it higher. It's sort of like going up a staircase. You can also look at it from the flip side. You'll see stocks go down and they'll go down, and you'll see this sort of accumulation, what you would assume would be accumulation, and then it drop down. And what that is a lot of times is institutions getting short. So that's a very good point, Paul, in that sort of staircasing up. It's a slower process. It's not a spike up, but it's how big institutions like mutual funds accumulate a stock they believe in and move it higher as time goes on. That's a good point out.
Yeah, I've been in, let's see if I could do this again. Entire screen, a window, this one, show. I've been in this one when I seen this, this is JBL, there's when there's consolidation area and when it started to pop, I did buy it. So I was in this for a little while. And you could see this volume kick up. So what my point that I was trying to get out is in those, go back to that TMI.
That was an earnings day
Sorry.
too, that it popped
That
too.
was an earning today. It was. So I'll put up Reddit. This is a good one. So instead of punking out, I'm picking out good stocks. The problem is I'm getting out of them too easy. And what I'm using is these consolidation points to help me get out. So like, for instance, this is the consolidation area. I set for this particular stock, I set it here. So these 52-week hires or these high momentum stocks, yeah, they'll swing down a little bit, but many of them just recover. And what I do is I'll sell within that resistance zone better,
So why
Yeah.
are
if that
you,
makes sense.
is it more of a trade or is it more of like, because what you just showed me is like, why would you be stopped? Why would you be trying to get stopped out?
Well, instead of putting a trail, I think it's better to put a target. So like this in Reddit, or this might be, you see a breakout right here. You see this breakout, right? So then you see this, I'll say another consolidation area. I have a stop here, but I think what I've been doing is putting that stop out within, below or in the middle of, or wherever you feel is comfortable, depending on the stock. This is where it's been consolidating in here. So I don't want to punk out unless it breaks a negative consolidation area. So,
Okay, I see what
you know
you're
what I'm
saying.
saying? So you use instead of a sell point, the way I establish the target sell is I put it within the resistance zone, because stocks are very volatile. They go, they're not going, you know, they're going up and down, up and down, up, and they're consolidating like a sawtooth, and then they'll break out or break down. So the sell point, you don't want to punk out when you're still in a zone. You want to punk out when you break that consolidation zone, in my
Right. Okay.
opinion, or you want to buy
Right.
it when you're breaking out of the zone. That makes sense.
Sure.
So instead of you have a consolidation, a resistance zone that consists of a trend of highs and lows within a certain amount of time. Like, you don't want to punk out when you're in this zone, or you don't want to punk out when you're in this zone. You want to stay in the
Right.
stock longer, because what happened with me is I've been picking stocks and rebuying them over, buy, sell, and I'm selling these things wrong. I'm picking the right ones, but I'm selling way too early.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. That
The when you said you sell in the resistance, I'm like, okay, this stock it apparently is making a move higher, but the way you explained it, you're putting your sell below that consolidation phase.
Well, it really depends on well, you're putting it in the resistance zone. So like I said, I have a shitload of stocks, and I'll put in like this PSX I mentioned yesterday. See if I can come up there. So there's a consolidation right in this area. It
Right.
pops. It's creating a new consolidation area, but I'm not going to sell it unless I'm down here. Because if looking at this stock, if I put it on a weekly, this has a nice trend up. So why would I want to
Well,
sell it?
Hmm.
It's
well,
going up, that many days in a row. You know what I'm
go
saying?
back
So
to the go back to
sure,
the daily real
sure.
quick. So wouldn't you put your so this consolidation zone you have boxed out, that becomes support. So why not put your stop, say, below that consolidation block because you think you have confidence, or you put it in the middle of that consolidation block because chances are that's going to come right back down to that consolidation block, and that will then become support and move higher. So if you believe in the stock and you think it's going to go higher after this pullback, why not put it in the middle of it? So you see what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're
Instead
saying,
of
but I don't want to suffer that loss. I think this is a fair
okay,
spot. So you got to be
gotcha.
careful of how far you go down. Like I'm in roadblocks. Oh, I don't have any boxes for there. Let me find if I got. There's some of these that I have some boxes. Nope. Let's see Sterling.
That one
So
hit
like you have a
resistance.
yellow line there,
Yeah, so that you could visualize that this is a box here. If I could draw a
right?
box around here. I don't want to go through that. Yeah, maybe I'll draw a box. Yeet. In that area, probably a little higher. You can see it broke out, and to me, here's the breakout, but it's going to consolidate. So I probably I have the sell orders right here, because if it goes
Yeah.
into this territory, then I'm not. To me, it's not trending up anymore. It's breaking
Well,
down that zone.
where did you buy?
Oh geez, I don't know. I'd have to look.
Yeah,
I have.
I'm just
I,
wondering where, because you say you
uh,
buy when it pops, and then if your sell order's down there, you won't get your profit basically. You know what I mean?
well, I'd have to go to each one of them to tell you, like, for instance, you say, where do I buy? Okay, so NVIDIA, this is the consolidation zone. I bought this because I seen this volume go up and you're breaking out of the consolidation zone.
You
So
bought it where though?
I bought it. Well, yesterday in here, in this somewhere in here.
Okay.
I know, I don't know exactly where, but the point is I won't get out until if it goes back into this resistance zone.
Well, see, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If you sell below where you buy, then that's a loss.
It is. So here's what I'll make you ask you to think. Absolutely. But what I'm trying to do is not sell, because if you look at this, the averages are all going up. So what happens is you sell, but these 9 days, the 20 days, all these averages are going up. Now, sure, you're going to have stocks that punk out, but I'm trying to hang in there longer at using these boxes. So yes, you'll lose money if you sell, but if I have a 9 that's going up, that's curling up, you know, those SMAs are telling me absolutely. What I'm doing is buying on the breakout, and if it comes below the
No,
breakout, yeah, that's it. So
no,
it's
that's fine.
yeah,
That's a good strategy. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
that's something different. Anyways, I gotta go back to
Cool.
this.
It's
gotta
interesting.
show-
You
I
look at
gotta-
that NVIDIA chart and you can see that staircasing upward. So if you got back in probably around, yeah, I can't really figure.
So if I go
Okay,
here,
so
I don't know if I'm still sure. This is the breakout. Look at over here, down here. Here's another consolidation. Let's draw another consolidation down here if I can remember how to draw.
But you
Box.
can see if you go right back, before
There's
that consolidation,
These
the one that's
right?
the one
Oops.
that's above the D. Look at the one that's above the D. That consolidation sideways, above where you are today.
Oh, right. There's a D. Yeah.
Nope. No, the other one.
The
The
earnings.
D in the D in the video there.
Oh, apologies. Right here.
Right
Yeah,
here,
that's fine.
straight across. You can see. Now that one did pop right after earnings, but it came back down. So that was kind of a false breakout at that point out of that consolidation box. You know what I mean?
So I'll just go like this. So, say false breakout. Yeah, there's a mini breakout, right? This breakout to the D, that's a breakout.
Well, I'm just
But
saying after earnings, there was a breakout up and then it came back down into the box. So you would have stopped out there.
Well, it depends
Right.
where you put it in this consolidation. Like if we talk about stops, I'm not sure when you would buy it in this chart. Say you brought it here, down here, because you see a breakout. I'm with the green line. Is it green line?
Yeah, I'm looking at the one at the top though, where
Okay, I'll
the
give you
earnings
the
were,
top.
where the earnings was.
There's the earnings. See?
Yeah.
So after earnings, you see the breakout. Now,
Yeah.
if you buy it on this day, I would draw a box in this here, around here. And then you have to set the limit somewhere under the zone. I'd probably set the limit. Well, it depends when I bought. You're right. This is kind of tricky here because it's
It
doing
is
a
tricky.
jig jog.
Yeah.
It's jiggy
Yeah.
jog.
You say
So
just
it's not it's not a science, but instead of punking out on stocks that are going up, you stay within the zone. That's what my point.
Yep. No, and that's a good point. And yeah, stocks do consolidate. We watch these charts, as they stair step up and they go from the upper Bollinger over, it catches up to the support level and then it pops up again, and it's however you want to do it. Basically it's your system and that's, I mean, it works. So that's what you do. You make this your own and appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, no, thank you. I wouldn't have got there. It's like levels. I'm trying to learn.
No,
You
you're
can
doing
learn
well.
and learn and learn and learn, and there's like
No,
next
no, no.
levels and next levels.
No, you're
It's
doing
great.
well,
Yeah.
and
Oh, thanks.
you've come a long way for sure. I mean, you've been one of our originals, so here you are still. So
I'm trying to
appreciate it.
share too.
Yeah,
If anybody
appreciate it.
cares.
Really
No
appreciate it.
worries.
I really do.
Cool. Okay,
Um,
cool.
okay, 8:30.
right. Well, we're off to the races. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, same place. Tomorrow is Friday, so we'll have Kerry's call at 3 o'clock. And love for y'all to join us. Interested to hear what Kerry learned this week. Uh, should be interesting. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you again for participating.
Yep.
And y'all have a great day.
Yeah,
Hey,
you guys
everyone.
Care,
be safe.
everybody.
Be
Thank
safe
you.
out there.
Bye.
Bye.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.